We're live,
Yay!
we're live once
Holla.
again. We've made it to day 3. Clap
Yes,
for us, man.
please.
Clap for us. So welcome back to today's episode of For Evan's Sake Daily. My name is Nee Odate Evans.
And I'm Nana Evans.
And we are bringing you the news from a parenting perspective. In today's show, we're going to be talking about knife crime. There's been a dramatic drop in the number of knife crimes in the capital, but nobody seems to be talking about it. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on. We're also going to be talking about the cost of living payments. They work out to be something like £75 a month over the year, and it doesn't seem like it's nearly enough. And then a little bit later on, we're going to be talking about Rishi Sunak's new plans to make maths compulsory, which I think is hilarious coming from like a son of an immigrant. But we'll get into that a bit later. So as I said, now, Nana, you were the one that actually brought this story to me about knife crime. So do you want to...
Okay, so I was on the internet looking at news stories and then came across some stats that shocked me that this wasn't major news and I hadn't heard about it. So basically in December 2021, through the year of 2021, there was 30 youth knife crimes in the capital. That was very high. It had gone up since 2020. So Sadiq Khan, the London mayor, put forward plans. He pledged 150 million to tackle this. That was going to go to policing, youth centres, like all different types of initiatives. Fast forward to December 2022, and the stats have come back and there's been 14. That is a drop of over 50%. And nobody is talking about the measures or Sadiq Khan's plans, any of that. Like, this is actually good news. And we're not hearing about
amazing news. Yeah.
I wanted to get your thoughts on what theories that could be.
So I'll give my thoughts and theories in a second, but I also want to hone in specifically on Croydon. So I found this on the Sky News website. In 2021, Croydon was the teen murder capital of London. In 2022, there were no fatal teen stabbings.
Zero.
None.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, police training sessions and DJ workshops are among the programs credited with the drop in numbers. And that's come from Sadiq Khan's £150 million investment. Now, quite simply for me, I think this highlights the problem with our political system because we are too entrenched in partisan politics, because if the other side has a win, we can't acknowledge that the other side has had a win. But ultimately, the people, and especially the young people, are the most important thing. So if we have a win as amazing as this, that in Croydon, nobody died from a teen stabbing, we have to be shouting that from the rooftops, because also that good news has a ripple effect.
Yes, yeah, that's what you would think. I would say even like the partisan side of it to one side, it's the media. The media always has a bias on a party for a certain amount of time. And our media is absolutely biased towards Conservative Party at this moment. Because I think if this had come about in Boris's reign as London mayor, we would have been hearing about this all the time, like anything that takes place. And remember what Boris did for youth knife crime, and he reduced it. Like, we would hear about this, but we're not hearing about it because it's a Labour mayor. And really, that's the thing that is getting me. This is good news. This is really, as parents, we have so much fear generally. And if you're hearing that there are measures that are out there that are reducing knife crime, we can lessen the fear. So what is the thing that you want your population to be living in fear? That to me is disgusting.
Yeah. Absolutely. I was literally just coming to that because for me, it's like a cycle. So if we have a reduction in knife crime and we pump that good news out there, parents feel less fear. That immediately is going to have a better knock-on effect for children.
Yeah.
And then we got children going out there that are happier because they're not being, feeling the pressure from their parents' fear. Yes. And then it's a cycle and it goes round. But why are we not doing that? For me, it feels and seems like common sense.
Yes, yeah, you would hope. I really hope that this news does get out there and people do start spreading this, that actually there are initiatives, and even one great one in Kentish Town as well. Malika's son, he has a great workshop. It's free for 16 to 25-year-olds, and they can go, they can do DJing workshops, they can set up their own podcast, you can make music there. It's a brilliant initiative, and these are popping up everywhere around the country. So it gives kids something to aim for as well. You're not going to be idle.
Do you know what the thing is? You just saying that just made me think, have we not been saying, like the communities at a grassroots level, have we not been saying for years, that the loss of our youth centres has had a direct correlation in the rise in crime amongst young people? And all of a sudden, look at that.
Exactly.
You invest £150 million in essentially what are youth centres, and we have a drop in
Well, I mean,
crime.
they did that in our generation, didn't they?
Yeah.
They started like just closing youth centres. On my estate, there used to be 4 when I was like under 10. By the time I became a teenager, there was none.
Yeah.
They closed all of them. And this is a huge estate in Kilburn. But, you know, so then what are people going to do? They were hanging around. And then you become prey for the older set of people, and then it leads to county lines.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just, there's all the correlation, and I can't get away from, I feel people in authority are complicit in all of this.
Yeah.
It all makes sense. It all feeds into actually, you know, education to prison. Like it all feeds into the same thing.
Well, when you look at it, and it feels like all it comes down to is deciding where you're going to allocate money, because it's not a question of whether the money is there or not, because we know that the money is there. So it's a question of so it's a question of where are you going to allocate money, and you decide that actually we're not going to allocate money here. So it tells us that for some reason you think that this isn't important.
Yes, basically. Yeah, definitely. Until it becomes to catastrophic levels, and then you have to do something about it.
But yeah.
But in 2021, those 30 young people that died, there were things that could have been put in place, and those lives could have been saved. And that's what all people who are in government should be thinking about.
Yeah.
They have blood on their hands. They could have done something about this.
Okay, next story. Cost of living payments. So the government released that they're going to be releasing £900 through the welfare system to some of the poorer families to help them get through this cost of living crisis, which, you know, when you say £900, it sounds, it's not an amazing amount of money, but it's a good amount of money. And then when you look at how they begin to break this money down, you then begin to see how actually this isn't really that helpful. So there is a payment coming this spring of obviously around 300 and something pounds. £301. And then there's another payment coming in August. And then there's another payment coming next year, spring 2024, which will be the final payment. And so over the course of the year, that works out around £75. I know people that are spending £75 a week on gas alone or electricity alone. So compared
to about like £30 to £40 previously for the same time.
And I guess the government is running on Tesco saying every little helps, but in this case, I'm not entirely sure that it does, or that it's actually going to make an effective change for impact on families.
Well, the thing is, it's too little, because the prices have gone up so dramatically, and you didn't put anything in place to stop that. So then I think if you are in bed with the oil companies, with the gas companies, then you need to offset some of that to us so that we can survive, especially for the poorest people. 900 a quarter would have been like, okay, you're trying to do something. 900 over a year in 3 lump sums is really not helping anything. Like, you can't even get a weekly shop for less than £100. Like, you're not helping. This is just, you're just saying these things. It's just like news fodder. But they made sure that went out in the news.
I was about to say, so these things have an impact on the news. We see it front and center. And then also what happens in 2 years' time when it comes to the general elections again, then they can be like, we gave you £900. And what they won't do is they won't say that they gave us £900. They'll give the cumulative figure of how much they've given since the beginning of the cost of living crisis. So it sounds like this massive number. And then sadly, some people will begin to think, oh, yeah, no,
They feed into the number and the stats that they feed that can be skewed as well. It's really frustrating. And it's so easy to manipulate the public.
Yeah, that it really is. And I wonder, number one, I wonder how people are surviving. I wonder how we're surviving. And I'm just so infuriated with the government and how they're treating us. But if I'm being honest, more so, I'm infuriated with us as a people, because we seem to be falling for it time and time again.
I think that's the annoying thing, isn't it? You really do want more. I mean, I guess that there are loads of people. As I said, I have joined the new WhatsApp group. There are loads of
Is
people.
it popping off yet?
No, it's still not popping off. It's more about like car theft and stuff.
Yeah.
But
Welcome to New York.
there are people really trying to get involved in local politics, and that's quite heartwarming. They are trying.
Could you see yourself doing something like that? Local politics, getting involved?
When I'm 65.
Why then?
Because it's like, I'll do that in like the last third of life.
But why can't you make it? What if you like? What if you're needed now?
Family season, so that's building family wealth, and then the last third of my life I will give to community building.
Okay, fair enough.
What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna support you. I'm gonna support you. Yeah. I mean, to be fair though, I was speaking about it not too long ago. When we had some people around, and I was just like, we complain about MPs and the amount of money that they earn, but actually, shouldn't more of us just be like, well, why don't we go get that money? Why don't we become an MP?
Involved, yeah.
And then once you're, somebody said this on one of our TikTok threads, and it's just like, there are actually good MPs out there, but the problem is there probably isn't enough. And so what happens is when they're trying to actually make good changes, they're surrounded by people who aren't about it, and then they're unable to rise. So actually, maybe more of us should be doing that.
There's that, but politics is like any type of industry.
It's a business
and institution, yes, and there's levels to it. And for the few people that I know that have kind of been courted, especially by the Labour Party, to get involved, it's so intrusive on your wider family life.
Yeah.
You kind of can shy away from it very quickly. That's why it's like an old boys club. It's like, it's who you know, because then they kind of slot you in.
Yeah.
And so if you're part of the institution, it's a lot easier. They've made it this way. It's by design that normal people are not involved in it.
Yeah. So we have to buck the trend.
Yes.
We have to buck the trend.
Yeah, 65.
And maybe we will buck the trend by our young children studying maths until they are 18.
Yes.
So the details of the Prime Minister's new mission will be announced in due course. Number 10 has said that the government does not envisage making maths A-level compulsory. Okay, which I thought was interesting. So we're talking about Rishi Sunak, his new plans in making maths compulsory for children up until the age of 18. They've already said that what they're not going to do is make it A-level compulsory. What I hope they're going to do, because, and I think this is why maths...
So just go back on. So, as in, like, you would do a GCSE for longer?
Well, it doesn't say. We're gonna find out. What I'm hoping that they're gonna do, because I think this is where there is a massive disconnect with people and maths. A lot of the time people talk about pi and Pythagoras theorem and all of that.
Algebra, yeah.
And it doesn't have a correlation to maths in the real world. So I'm hoping that what they do is, right, so maybe you do maths up until GCSE, but after that, you do a form of maths that actually is relatable to the real world. So you understand APR, you understand mortgages,
of course, yeah.
all of those things.
Well, I guess it's still a form of maths, but financial literacy.
There you go.
We would have 2 years after 16 of financial literacy. And so everything that you learn in maths within your secondary education, you know how to apply it when you get to 18 and put it out there into the real world.
That would make sense.
If that's what he's proposing, that would be great. Because just saying maths to lots of people until they're 18, most kids can't wait to leave the maths class.
Absolutely.
It's very few and far between that really enjoy it. And then also, in order to encourage people to be enthusiastic about maths, you need to teach it in the right world. It needs to be in the right way. It needs to be practical.
With the right people.
Yeah, it has to be more like how they improved science, more experiments. It's like maths is so logical. You need to know all of the principles, and the principles can be taught in a really practical way. It doesn't need to just be sitting down, pen and paper. Like, you can change it up a bit. That's what they would need to do to get people enthusiastic.
Have you ever thought about being a maths teacher? Because you guys don't know, Nana loves maths.
I do.
She loves maths.
I did for a time when I was an unqualified teacher. I was taking over maths classes, maths and drama. It was fun.
Did you enjoy it?
It was like, kinda.
Okay.
I did. I enjoyed it for a
You're not
moment.
selling it to me.
But the curriculum, as I said, the curriculum isn't that enjoyable to teach. So,
Okay, fair enough.
yeah, if it could get shaken up a bit. I mean, the world is changing so phenomenally.
Yeah.
They're going to have to change everything.
So this was the other point I was coming to, because I think what he's proposing is really important. I think it's even more so important when we look at how AI is rapidly shaping how we live and work.
Exactly.
And so one of the things that made me smile about this story is the son of an immigrant talking about, we need more maths.
Yeah.
And if you grew up in an immigrant household, you will know, and I'm sure this applies to other people as well, but I'm speaking from a children of immigrant perspective, is that maths was like, you just know there was no messing around with maths. Like maths was the be all and end all. And
of all the subjects, to be like, we're extending this until 18. I think for an Asian prime minister to say maths, it did tickle me a bit. Yeah. Because English is also a problem.
English is a massive problem. So I saw the humor. I saw the humor in that. But
he's putting his stamp out there. I think that was a bat signal.
A bat signal to who?
To his people.
Wow. Anyway, we ain't going there. We ain't going there. Not today. But yeah, I hope that this actually turns out to be something of substance.
I hope so.
And I hope that it will be a policy that will actually positively affect our children in years to come. Because what is a reality is that as parents, we have to realize that our education system in this country, and I'm not talking about private education, our education system in this country, as it is, our children are going to be at a deficit. And so we have to be doing more out in the home and outside of the normal schooling environment if we want our children to succeed. Because I think as it is, it's probably not enough.
Yeah, because you just have to think about what type of jobs are going to be out there, what type of businesses they're going to be creating. And if you're not keeping up with how technology is going to be shaping our lives, you're doing your family a disservice. Because we can't rely on the government to do that. And so, the world is really shifting and we have to keep up. We have to find out what is happening, how it's going to affect our families, and what we can do to be one step ahead.
Cool.
Is that all of our stories?
That's all of our stories, man.
Oh, look at
that went really quickly.
Did it?
Yeah.
What's the time?
We're at 17 minutes.
Oh.
We're at 17 minutes.
Okay.
That was
so
cool.
we can delve into something else. This is kind of like news, maybe a little bit down, but I think it correlates with the knife crime. I haven't been seeing so many posts up about missing teenagers.
No, I have.
Are you still seeing that?
Yeah.
I wonder if I've changed my algorithm.
Yeah,
but I used to see that all the time, and I was getting really hopeful. I couldn't find any data sources or any news stories on it. But I was just like, I haven't noticed.
Literally saw one probably about 3 days ago.
Yeah.
And it was a 12-year-old girl. I think she went missing around. I think it was around Liverpool or Leeds. No, I think it was London. Anyway, she went missing. She returned again. And so I'm assuming, correct me if I'm wrong.
Those quick returns.
Yeah. So usually those types of missing child, how much of it are we attributing to things like county lines, and how much of it do you think is just kind of disgruntled child in the home?
I think a lot of it was county lines. Definitely, when I was seeing it, because it was very rare to see a girl. Most of them were black boys that were going around, and it's the kind of 2-week return as well that was very indicative of our nephew when he was involved in it. It was that same type of time span as well. So I was getting slightly happy that it had gone down, but you're still seeing it.
I'm still seeing, but maybe it is. I mean, I feel like it's timelines are it's such anecdotal evidence that you can't really trust it too much.
Yeah, definitely. But again, even that discussion seems to have kind of died down as to what's happening with county lines and how people are being prosecuted as well. on all sides, like how the kingpins are being prosecuted, but once you get involved in it and they're a child, is it being considered as grooming? Like all of these things don't seem to be in the forefront unless you're propelled into it head first. And then where do you go to find out how to get help and resources and everything else? I guess that would be one that we could do a whole show on as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, the experience that we had with that a few years ago, and
we were very fortunate.
We were extremely fortunate. But yeah, I think, we should probably
touch on that soon.
We should touch on that soon. I think there's probably a lot to unpack there and a lot to share, and hopefully it'll be useful to some people.
Another piece of news I was seeing is the January strikes. Like all of the different industries that were going on strike. I was like, wow, that's quite like ambulance, nurses, teachers. I mean, we know we've been having the rail strikes as well. Post office. It was just a run. There was 2 weeks in January. Well, there is going to be 2 weeks in January where nobody is striking.
Yeah.
But other than that, there is always 2 different industries striking. What are the government doing about this? This is like the 70s. I remember my mum used to talk about it.
It's funny you said that, because I was thinking that the other day. What we're going through now is definitely reminiscent of what again, my mum spoke to me about it. It was what they went through during the 70s. Something that I've noticed, and I'm going to hone specifically on the rail unions. I can't remember his surname, but we all know the guy, Mick.
Yeah.
Okay.
The RMT boss.
The RMT boss, right. Why is it that it's always him front and center on the news, and they're taking him to task on why the unions are voting to strike, but they never take to task as much? I certainly haven't seen it as much. If you have, then let us know in the comments. They never take to task the actual bosses of the railway networks or the MPs, and if they do, it's not. And I'm thinking, as I'm saying this visually, I can see like Richard Madeley and Susanna and GMB, like specifically, like when they get him on there, they go to town.
Yeah, they go.
And there is never that level of vitriol for the other side.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is what I'm noticing now more and more is that when a lot of these TV shows go out and they talk to people on the streets about their opinions on the strikes, before it used to be like, they just need to go to work. But a lot of time now, the narrative is, it's really frustrating, but I support them.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important.
I've noticed that a lot. That kind of shift in perspective that people, because I guess most people are now feeling that dissatisfaction that nobody cares.
Yeah.
So they are siding with the workers, and they always should have been. This should be like, we should always uphold somebody that is providing a service and is working. If it's not working for them, we should support them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it won't be long before it's you in your industry and your job where you're hoping that you have the public support when you need to strike or get your bosses to do something honourable.
And again, going back to the whole AI thing, with AI coming in the way it is, people are thinking, my job is safe. A lot of jobs are not safe.
Yeah.
A lot of jobs are not safe. So yeah.
Society's going to change. We have to think about how we're going to slot in. And
more importantly, how we're going to enable our children to thrive in those societies as well. In this new society. Yeah, pivoting,
Yeah, because it's going
to be... That's the word, isn't it? That's the word since 2020, the pivot. Yeah.
This is why they introduce these things.
Yeah.
Like, cost of living crisis. No, you're just made everything expensive. You are literally just taking all of our money to profit but they bring in new lexicons like lockdown.
Yeah.
So when they do that again, we're all going to be like, oh, we know what this is.
Yeah. They're already talking about it again. So obviously with the crisis that's happening in the NHS and this kind of new variant of the flu that's coming in, the other day there was an MP on the news talking about how we don't want to go back to lockdown style measures. And so these things are in our lexicon now. People are talking about not wearing masks again and what have you. And the reality is,
we may get there.
We may get. And look, I'm being honest with you as well, because the state that the NHS is in, I'm like, maybe it's not a bad idea to wear masks just to limit yourself because what I'm telling you right now is I do not want to go to hospital for anything.
Yeah.
Because if going to hospital at the moment, like there was a lady on the news the other night who waited like 13 hours in an ambulance.
Yeah. She was in hospital for 24 hours.
Insane.
Like waiting to get proper hospital care, and was filming it as she was going along. That's mad.
The country is broken.
But also, like, you know, there's all of that. There's the MPs talking about we may have to reintroduce wearing a mask and everything else. But it's only now that they are considering actually testing people coming in from China to see if they are coming in with a negative. It's only now, and that was
and they
because
did the same thing. Yeah, they did the same thing during the lockdown. Yeah.
So it's like you want these things, don't you? Because who made a lot of money through the pandemic?
Not me.
MPs, brethren.
Yeah.
So you kind of want this pandemonium to take place again. So, you know, I guess we just have to be thinking of how you keep your family safe.
That's the main thing.
Because you can't rely on them.
And I mentioned it in one of our previous episodes, but more and more I feel like the way to keep the family safe actually may be by leaving the country.
It may be something that we need to consider. And for the people that do consider leaving, they always say go higher. Like go to mountains, like go high.
Oh, wow, interesting.
Because of the way the environment is as well, and rising sea levels and everything else. It's like, actually, if you are going to move, think about where you're moving to and aim to go higher ground than just flat plains.
That's a really light way to end the podcast.
But it's nice when you think about it also as well. It's like, actually, you know, we could create lives where we live in different places.
Aburi Mountains, we're coming.
That would be nice.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind that. Guys, please take a moment to follow us on our socials. You can find us on Instagram for Evan's sake _. You can find us on TikTok, same again, for Evan's sake _. We'll be clipping moments from the live stream and we can continue the conversation over there. We really appreciate all of the love and support that we've had so far on this journey. If you don't know...
Lots of comments on TikTok.
Yeah,
as well.
lots of comments on TikTok. Really nice. So that's brilliant. And yeah, we really appreciate the support on this 30-day challenge that we're doing. So we are day 3. We will be live every weekday at 12 p.m. GMT. This is where you'll find us on the Meant to Excel digital YouTube channel.
Yes.
Have a wonderful day.
Please share. Yeah, let this get out onto WhatsApp, like all of the WhatsApp groups.
Into the aunties group.
Yeah, share this around.
The aunties WhatsApp network.
Join us on this journey. Yeah. Watch how we change as well, and give us some news stories that you want us to discuss. Yeah, that'd be great.
We are open. We are open. Have a wonderful day, guys. We will see you tomorrow at 12.
Bye-bye.